Imagine your perfect life is just a lie. When Lauren discovers lipstick on her husband's shirt, she thinks it's just an affair. But the truth is more horrifying. Secret accounts, a shady fertility clinic, and the shocking secret that her children aren't hers. From a betrayed woman, Lauren becomes a storm that sweeps away all lies. Watch her uncover the truth and reclaim her power in this dramatic story. My name is Lauren Hayes, and for 15 years, I thought I had it all figured out. A loving husband, 2 beautiful kids, a sprawling house in Westchester with a wraparound porch I dreamed of since I was a girl. My husband, Dr. Michael Hayes, was a god in his field, a heart surgeon whose hands saved lives daily, whose name graced the covers of medical journals, whose smile could melt a room. I was the loyal wife, the one who packed his lunches, cheered at his award ceremonies, and kept our family humming like a well-oiled machine. Until the day I found the lipstick on his shirt. It was a Tuesday, unremarkable except for the faint drizzle tapping against the kitchen window. Michael had left his gym bag by the garage door after his morning workout, something he'd done 100 times. I unzipped it to toss his sweaty clothes in the wash routine, mindless. But there it was, staring up at me. A crisp white t-shirt with a smear of crimson lipstick on the collar. Not my shade. I wear nude tones, subtle and practical. This was bold, reckless, the kind of color a woman wears when she wants to be noticed. My stomach dropped. I stood there, clutching the fabric, the damp cotton cold against my fingers. I could have confronted him right then, called him at the hospital, demanded an explanation. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the years of trust I'd poured into him, or maybe it was fear of what I'd hear. Instead, I folded the shirt, tucked it back into the bag, and waited. That night, he came home late, his usual excuse about a complicated bypass surgery. He kissed my forehead, casual as ever, and asked about the kids Ellie, our 12-year-old with her father's blue eyes, and Sam, our 9-year-old with his quiet intensity. I smiled, nodded, played the part, but my mind was racing. Who was she? How long had this been going on? And why did that lipstick feel like the first crack in a dam I hadn't even known was there? Over the next few days, I became a detective in my own life. I checked his phone when he showered, nothing obvious, just locked apps and vague texts to colleagues. I rifled through his desk drawers, finding only medical charts and receipts. Then I remembered his gym bag. He'd started going to the gym more often lately, always early, always with that same black duffel slung over his shoulder. So on Thursday, I followed him. He didn't go to the gym. He drove past it, straight to a coffee shop in Yonkers, where a woman in a red coat slid into the booth across from him. She was younger, maybe mid-30s, with sharp cheekbones and hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. I watched from my car, heart pounding, as she leaned in close, laughing at something he said. They didn't kiss, didn't touch, but the intimacy was unmistakable. I snapped a photo through the windshield, blurry but clear enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. The lipstick, the woman, the lies. They churned in my head like a storm. But it wasn't just betrayal fueling me now. It was curiosity. If Michael was cheating, what else was he hiding? I'd spent 15 years building a life with him, raising our kids, believing in us. I deserved the truth, no matter how ugly it was. The next morning, I dug deeper. I logged into our joint bank account, something I hadn't bothered with in years, since Michael handled the finances. There were transfers, small at first, then larger, to an account I didn't recognize. Thousands of dollars funneled away over months. I called the bank, pretending to be confused about a statement. The rep was polite but firm. The account was in Michael's name only, opened 2 years ago. No joint access. I sat back, staring at the screen. An affair was one thing. Devastating, sure, but personal. This was different. This was deliberate, calculated. What was he doing with that money? And why hide it from me? That's when I remembered the IVF. Ellie and Sam weren't conceived the old-fashioned way. After years of trying, Michael's low sperm count forced us to a fertility clinic, Prestige Reproductive Health, the best in New York. He'd been so involved, picking the donor sperm himself, insisting on the top-tier package. I trusted him completely. But now, with the lipstick and the secret account gnawing at me, a sick thought crept in. What if the kids weren't his? What if they weren't even from the donor we'd chosen? I had to know. I called Prestige, posing as a concerned patient needing records. The receptionist was Kurt records were confidential, accessible only with both parents' consent. I hung up, hands trembling. If I wanted answers, I'd have to get creative and careful, because whatever Michael was hiding, it was bigger than an affair. I could feel it. The kids were at school, the house silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. I sat at the kitchen table, the photo of Michael and the woman in the red coat glaring up at me from my phone. I'd printed it out, zoomed in on her face, but she was still a stranger. My coffee grew cold as I stared at the bank statements I'd pulled up on my laptop. Those mysterious transfers, some as recent as last week, totaling over $200,000. Where was it going? And why? I needed more than hunches. I needed proof. Michael kept his office locked when he wasn't home, a habit I'd never questioned surgeons and their privacy, he'd say with a laugh. But today, I wasn't his loyal wife anymore. I was a woman on a mission. I grabbed a hairpin from Ellie's bathroom drawer and jimmied the lock, a trick I'd learned from too many late-night crime shows. It took 10 minutes, but the door clicked open. His office smelled like hemp cedar cologne and antiseptic. The desk was pristine, files stacked neatly, a framed photo of us at our 10th anniversary grinning back at me. I ignored the pang in my chest and started searching. Drawers yielded nothing but pens and Post-its. Then I spotted it, a locked metal box under his desk, small enough to miss if you weren't looking. Another hairpin, another struggle, and it popped open. Inside was a mess of papers, receipts, handwritten notes, a flash drive. My hands shook as I sifted through them. A receipt from Prestige Reproductive Health caught my eye, dated 3 years ago, long after Sam's birth. $15,000 for consultation services. We hadn't been back to the clinic since the kids. What was this? Another note scrawled in Michael's handwriting. Confirm donor match urgent. My breath caught. Donor match? For what? I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. It was password protected, but I knew Michael he'd use something simple, sentimental. I tried Ellie's birthday. No luck. Sam's. Nothing. Then, on a whim, our wedding date. 06/1/2009. It worked. The drive opened, revealing a single folder labeled PRH. Inside were PDFs, contracts, emails, spreadsheets. I clicked one at random, an email from Michael to someone named Dr. Evelyn Carter, dated 2 years ago. Evelyn funds transferred as agreed. Patient profiles adjusted. No discrepancies on our end. Let me know if the board asks questions. Patient profiles? Adjusted? My mind raced. Was this about the IVF? I opened a spreadsheet, next rows of names, dates, dollar amounts. One entry jumped out. Hayes L. Donor 4721. 50,000. Cleared 15/12. That was Ellie's conception date. $50,000? We'd paid $20,000 for the whole process, or so I thought. What was the extra money for? I printed everything, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped the pages. This wasn't just an affair. This was fraud, medical, financial, personal, and it involved my kids. Were they even his? Had he paid to fake the donor records? I needed to know who Dr. Evelyn Carter was and what Prestige was hiding. That afternoon, I drove to the clinic. It was a sleek building in Manhattan, all glass and steel, a monument to hope for desperate couples. I didn't have an appointment, but I didn't care. I marched up to the reception desk, clutching the receipt I'd found. I need to speak to Dr. Evelyn Carter, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. It's about a payment discrepancy. The receptionist, a young woman with a tight smile, tapped her keyboard. Dr. Carter isn't in today. Can I take a message? No, I said, sliding the receipt across the counter. This is urgent. Tell her Lauren Hayes needs answers about her family's records. Her eyes flickered to the paper, then back to me. I'll see what I can do. Please wait. I sat in the lobby, the plush chairs doing nothing to calm me. 10 minutes later, a man in a suit, not a doctor, approached. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm Richard Klein, clinic administrator. Dr. Carter's unavailable, but I can assist you." "I doubt that," I said, standing. "I want my children's donor records, now." He didn't flinch. "Those are confidential, as I'm sure you know. We'd need Dr. Hayes' consent, too." "He's my husband," I snapped. "I have rights." "Not without his signature," Klein replied smoothly. "Legal protocol. I'm sorry." I wanted to scream, to tear the place apart, but I forced a smile. "Fine, I'll be back." I left, but I wasn't done. That night, I searched Evelyn Carter online. She was Prestige's chief embryologist, a respected name in fertility circles, until 6 months ago, when she'd quietly left the clinic. No explanation, just a vague press release about new opportunities. Her LinkedIn was dormant, but an old ex-post from a former colleague hinted at trouble. "Sad to see Evelyn go. Too much pressure at PRH. Hope she's okay." Pressure? What kind? I kept digging, cross-referencing names from the spreadsheet. One led me to a news article from last year. A lawsuit against Prestige, dropped abruptly. A couple claimed their embryo had been swapped, their baby not biologically theirs. The case vanished, no settlement, no follow-up. My gut twisted. Was this what Michael and Evelyn were covering up? I couldn't do this alone anymore. I needed help, someone who could crack this open without tipping Michael off. The next day, I called an old college friend, Tara, now a private investigator. She met me at a diner, her no-nonsense vibe a lifeline in my chaos. "Jesus, Lauren," she said, flipping through the papers I'd brought. "This is heavy. Hidden accounts, clinic payments, donor discrepancies. You're talking fraud, maybe worse." "I know," I said, my voice cracking. "I just need to prove it. For me. For the kids." Tara nodded. "I'll tail him, dig into Carter and the clinic. But if this goes where I think it does, you might need more than me. You might need the feds." The feds. The word hung between us, heavy and real. I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting for my family, my truth. And I'd burn it all down to get it. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Tara slid a manila envelope across the table. It'd been 3 days since I'd handed her the reins, and I'd barely slept, jumping at every creak in the house, every time Michael's phone pinged. He hadn't noticed my distance yet, or if he had, he didn't care. He was too busy with his surgeries and late nights. I didn't buy it anymore. "Got something," Tara said, her voice low. "Your husband's been meeting that woman in the red coat twice a week. Her name's Jessica Lang, 34, works in pharmaceutical sales. No criminal record, but she's got a condo in Tribeca she shouldn't be able to afford on her salary. Guess who's been wiring her money?" "Michael," I said, not even a question. "Bingo. Small amounts, untraceable, unless you know where to look." I also tailed him to Prestige yesterday. He met with Richard Klein, the administrator you tangled with. They looked tense, like they were arguing. I opened the envelope. Photos spilled out. Michael and Jessica at the coffee shop. Michael and Klein in the clinic parking lot. A grainy shot of Michael handing Klein an envelope. There was also a USB drive. "What's this?" "Audio," Tara said. "I bugged his car. Nothing concrete yet, just him bitching about work stress. But he mentioned Evelyn Carter, said she's a loose end, sounded worried." A loose end. My pulse quickened. "Did you find her?" Tara hesitated. Sort of. She's off the grid, no address, no phone. But I tracked down a former Prestige nurse, Maria Delgado. She quit a year ago, right after that lawsuit I told you about. She's willing to talk, but she's scared. Wants to meet somewhere public. "When?" "Tomorrow, Central Park, noon. I'll be there too, keeping watch." I nodded, adrenaline surging. This was it, a crack in the wall. If Maria knew something about the clinic, about Michael, I'd pry it open. The next day, I sat on a bench near the Bethesda fountain, a baseball cap pulled low over my eyes. Tara lingered nearby, pretending to read a book. At 12:05, a woman approached, mid-40s, dark hair streaked with gray, hands fidgeting with a scarf. She sat beside me, not looking my way. "You're Lauren?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Yes. Maria?" She nodded. "I don't have long if they find out I'm talking." "They won't," I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. "What do you know?" Maria took a shaky breath. "I worked at Prestige for 10 years. Embryology assistant under Dr. Carter. She was brilliant, but 2 years ago things changed. She started meeting with your husband off hours, no records. I overheard them once, arguing about adjustments. I didn't get it then, but later I saw files, patient files. Donor codes switched, payments logged as consulting fees." My heart thudded. "Switched? You mean embryos?" "Maybe, or sperm donors. I don't know the full scope. I wasn't high enough up, but I saw your name once on a list. Hayes L. marked priority. There was a payout tied to it, big one. I asked Evelyn about it, and she told me to keep quiet or I'd lose everything." I gripped the bench, nails digging into wood. "Why'd you quit?" "The lawsuit," she said. "That couple, their baby wasn't theirs. I helped process their case, and the records didn't match. I told Evelyn we had to report it. She said it was handled, but then the couple dropped the suit overnight. I knew something was wrong. I left before they could fire me, or worse." "Worse?" I pressed. Maria glanced around, eyes darting. "People who ask too many questions. They didn't last. One tech, Brian, he pushed Evelyn about missing samples. Next week he was gone. They said he moved, but his family filed a missing persons report. Never found him." A chill ran through me. "And Michael, what's his role?" "He's the money," she said. "And the face. Patients trusted him, big shot surgeon, charming, perfect. He brought in clients, vouched for the clinic. But he was in deep with Evelyn. I think he cooked the books, maybe more." I swallowed hard. "My kids, Ellie and Sam, were their records tampered with?" Maria hesitated, then met my eyes. "I don't know for sure, but if your name was on that list, it's possible. I'm sorry." Possible. The word hit like a punch. I wanted to scream, to demand more, but she was already standing. "I've said too much. Don't contact me again. If you're smart, you'll drop this." She walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Tara joined me, her face grim. "You okay?" "No," I said, voice breaking. "But I'm not dropping it." That night, I pored over Maria's words, the files from Michael's flash drive. I cross-checked dates. Ellie's conception. Sam's, the payments. They lined up too perfectly. I needed DNA proof, but getting it without Michael noticing would be tricky. And if Maria was right about Brian, this wasn't just fraud. It was dangerous. The next morning, Tara called. "Found something else. Evelyn Carter's in hiding, but I gotta lead her sisters in Jersey. I'm heading there. And Lauren? I called a contact at the FBI. This is bigger than us." "The FBI?" I froze. "Tara, You said it yourself for the kids. If Michael's dirty, if Prestige is swapping embryos, this is federal. My guy's discreet. He'll meet us tomorrow if we've got enough." I hung up, staring at the photo of Michael and me on the mantel. 15 years, 2 kids, a life I'd thought was mine. Now it was a house of cards, and I was about to pull the bottom one. That afternoon, I took Ellie and Sam to the park, watching them laugh on the swings. Were they his? Were they even from the donor we'd picked? The not knowing was a knife in my gut. I had to end this for them, for me. Tomorrow, the feds. Tomorrow, the truth. The meeting was set for 10 a.m. at a nondescript coffee shop in Queens, far from Michael's hospital and our Westchester bubble. I arrived early, nerves buzzing, clutching a folder of everything I'd gathered: bank statements, the flash drive files, Maria's cryptic warnings. Tara sat beside me, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the storm in my chest. She'd warned me this was a point of no return. I didn't care. I'd crossed that line the moment I found the lipstick. At 10:03, a man slid into the booth across from us. Mid-40s, close-cropped hair, gray suit that screamed government issue. He didn't smile. "Agent Daniel Reese, FBI," he said, flashing a badge briefly before tucking it away. "Tara says you've got something big. Let's hear it." I laid it out. Michael's affair, the hidden account, the clinic payments, the donor discrepancies, Maria's story about switched records and missing staff. Reese listened, expression unreadable, flipping through my papers with practiced efficiency. When I finished, he leaned back, tapping a finger on the table. "This is messy," he said finally. "If Prestige is tampering with embryos or sperm, that's fraud, racketeering, maybe even human trafficking territory. Your husband's involvement money laundering at minimum. But we need hard evidence. Paper trails are a start, but I need witnesses, records, something admissible." "Maria Delgado," Tara said. "She's scared, but she knows more. And Evelyn Carter, she's the key. Michael's spooked about her. If we find her..." "We'll get her," Reese cut in. "I've got resources Tara doesn't. Carter's sister in Jersey. Give me the address. I'll pull strings, track her down. But Mrs. Hayes, you're in deep already. If your husband suspects you're digging, this gets dangerous fast." "I know," I said, meeting his gaze. "He doesn't. Not yet. I'm still the perfect wife at home dinners on the table, kids to soccer. But I need to know about my children, DNA. Can you help?" Reese nodded. "Discreetly. Hair samples from them and your husband non-invasive. No warrants needed yet. I'll get it tested off book. If there's a mismatch, it's leverage against him in the clinic." I exhaled, relief warring with dread. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "This is a marathon, not a sprint. We need Carter alive and talking, and we need to catch Prestige in the act. You're our inside track keep playing the role. Watch his moves. Can you handle that?" "Yes," I said, surprising myself with how steady I sounded. "I've been handling worse for weeks," and he gave a curt nod, then stood. "Tara's my liaison. Updates through her. Stay sharp, Mrs. Hayes." He left, and Tara squeezed my arm. "You're tougher than I thought, Lauren." "Had to be," I muttered. "Let's get those samples." That night, I snipped a lock of Ellie's hair while she slept, her soft breaths tugging at my heart. Sam's was easier. He'd left a brush on the bathroom counter. Michael's came from his razor in the shower, a few dark strands caught in the blades. I sealed them in Ziplocs, hands steady despite the ache in my chest. These were my kids, my life, and I might be proving they weren't his. Tara dropped the samples with Reese the next day. Meanwhile, she texted me updates from Jersey Carter's sister had clammed up, but a neighbor spotted Evelyn sneaking in late at night. Reese was closing in. I kept up the charade at home, smiling through Michael's lies about his schedule, noting every time he slipped out with that damn gym bag. 2 days later, Tara called. "Reese found her. Evelyn's holed up in a motel off I-95. She's rattled agreed to talk if they guarantee protection. And Lauren, the DNA results are back." My throat tightened. "Tell me." "Ellie and Sam. They're not Michael's. Not even close to the donor profile you signed for. Different markers entirely." The room spun. I gripped the counter, bile rising. "So they're someone else's," Tara said softly. "Prestige swapped them. We don't know whose yet, but Evelyn might." I hung up, tears burning my eyes. Not his, not ours. The betrayal wasn't just Michael's affair or the money, it was my children, the core of me, stolen and replaced. I wanted to smash something, to storm into his hospital and scream, but I didn't. I breathed slow and deliberate. Anger could wait, justice couldn't. The next morning, Reese met us at a safe house, an unmarked apartment in Brooklyn. Evelyn Carter sat there, pale and gaunt, a shadow of the poised doctor from her Prestige headshot. She flinched when I walked in. "You're her," she said, voice cracking. "Hayes's wife." "Yeah," I said, sitting across from her. And you're the one who ruined my life. Start talking. She did. It poured out years of fraud at Prestige. Michael's role as the financier and fixer, how he'd recruited desperate couples, promised them perfect babies for a price. The swaps weren't mistakes. They were deliberate. Embryos and sperm sold to the highest bidders. Records falsified. My kids? A special request, she said, her eyes dropping. Michael had paid extra to ensure they were from a donor he'd handpicked, not the one we'd agreed on. Why? She didn't know. He'd kept that secret even from her. He's untouchable, she whispered. The hospital, the clinic, they protect him. I ran when I realized he'd pin it all on me if it came out. Not untouchable, Reese said, stepping in. We've got you, the files, Maria's testimony. But we need to sting catch him, moving money or meeting Klein. Lauren, can you bait him? I nodded, mind racing. He's hosting a gala next week, big hospital fundraiser. Everyone will be there. Klein, the board, donors. If I push him, make him slip. Do it, Reese said. We'll wire you, have agents in place. One mistake and he's done. I looked at Evelyn, then Reese, then Tara. He's not just done. He's destroyed. For the first time in weeks, I felt it power, not pain. Michael had taken everything. Now I'd take it back. The week before the gala felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of knives. At home, I was the dutiful wife ironing Michael's tux, packing the kids off to my sister's for the night, asking him about his speech with a smile plastered on my face. Inside, I was a furnace of rage and resolve. Every glance at him, a reminder of the DNA results, Evelyn's confession, the years he'd stolen from me. But I played my part. He couldn't suspect a thing. Reese and Tara drilled me daily at the safe house. The plan was simple but razor thin. I'd wear a wire, a tiny mic tucked into a necklace, while Reese's team blended into the gala crowd as waiters and guests. I'd corner Michael, push him about the hidden account and Prestige, get him to admit something incriminating on tape. Klein would be there too. If I could lure them together, even better. The feds needed a confession or a transaction. Something concrete to tie the fraud to Michael and the clinic. One slip and they'd swoop in. You sure you can do this? Reese asked the day before, his eyes searching mine. He's your husband, 15 years. That's not nothing. He stopped being my husband when he sold my kids, I said, voice cold. I'm not wavering. Tara handed me the necklace, a delicate silver chain with a teardrop pendant. Mix in the gem, clear range up to 50 feet. Just don't hug him too close, it'll muffle. I nodded, slipping it on. It felt heavier than it looked. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the navy gown I'd picked elegant, understated, a shield of normalcy. Michael came up behind me, adjusting his cufflinks. You look beautiful, he said, his voice warm, familiar. For a second, I almost faltered, memories of our early years flickering him, spinning me around our first apartment, promising me the world. Then I saw the gym bag by the door, and the warmth turned to ice. Thanks, I said, turning away. Big night for you. The biggest, he grinned. New wing dedication, my legacy. Your reckoning, I thought. The hospital gala was a glittering of fair crystal chandeliers, black tie crowd, the hum of self-important chatter. Michael worked the room like a king, shaking hands, accepting praise for the new cardiology wing funded by his tireless efforts. I stayed close, sipping champagne I didn't taste, scanning for Klein. He was near the bar, nursing a scotch, his slick smile faltering when he saw me. Reese's voice crackled through my earpiece, hidden under my hair. Klein's twitchy. Start with Michael, ease him in. I found him by the stage, mid-laugh with a donor. I touched his arm, voice soft. Honey, can we talk? Somewhere quiet? He frowned, but followed me to a corner near the patio doors. Private, but still in the mic's range. What's up? He asked, impatience creeping in. I found something, I said, keeping my tone curious, not accusatory. A bank statement, some transfers I didn't recognize. to an account in your name. What's it for? His jaw tightened, but he recovered fast. Work stuff, Lauren. Investments. You don't need to worry about it. Investments? I pressed, stepping closer. $200,000? That's a lot to hide. And then there's Prestige, I called them about our records, and they got weird. What's going on, Michael? His eyes narrowed, a flicker of panic breaking through his charm. Why are you digging into this? It's nothing clinic fees, old paperwork. Drop it. I can't, I said, voice rising just enough. Not when it's about Ellie and Sam. I deserve to know why you're funneling money, why you're meeting Jessica Lange, why Evelyn Carter's name keeps popping up. He grabbed my arm, pulling me closer, his voice a low hiss. You're paranoid. Jessica's a colleague. Evelyn's gone. There's no conspiracy, just your imagination. Then explain the $50,000 tied to Ellie's file, I shot back, watching his face pale. Or the donor switch. I have proof, Michael. Tell me the truth. He froze, then forced a laugh, loud enough to draw eyes. You're losing it, Lauren. This is a gala, not a soap opera. Go home if you can't handle it. He turned to walk away, but I grabbed his sleeve. Klein knows too, doesn't he? That's why you're arguing with him. What did you do to my kids? That did it. He spun back, fury cracking his mask. Keep your voice down, he snapped. You want the truth? Fine. I made sure they were perfect. The donor we picked was weak-low stats. I paid for better. You should be grateful. Grateful? I choked out. You lied to me, swapped them without my consent. It was my call, he cut in, voice rising. My money, my family. Prestige handled it, Klein signed off, and Evelyn kept it quiet. You got healthy kids, end of story. Reese's voice buzzed in my ear. That's it, intent and conspiracy. We've got him. Push for Klein. I glanced across the room. Klein was watching, tense. I raised my voice, deliberate now. So Klein's in on it? The fraud, the payouts? How many other families, Michael? He realized too late the trap he'd walked into. Shut up, he growled, but I kept going. Call him over, I said. Let's ask him. Michael hesitated, then waved Klein over, his arrogance overriding caution. Richard, tell her she's crazy. This Prestige nonsense is nothing. Klein approached, sweating. Mrs. Hayes, this isn't the place. Isn't it? I said, loud enough for nearby guests to turn. A hospital gala seems perfect to expose a hospital's dirty secrets. Fraud, embryo swaps, missing staff sound familiar? The room hushed. Michael's face drained of color. Klein stammered. I don't know what she's... Save it, I snapped, ripping off the necklace and holding it up. It's recorded. All of it. Reese's team moved in suits emerging from the crowd, badges flashing. Michael Hayes, Richard Klein, you're under arrest, Reese barked, cuffs snapping on Michael's wrists as he stared at me, stunned. You bitch, he spat. 15 years. 15 lies, I said, stepping back as they hauled him away. The crowd gaped, whispers erupting. I turned to face them, voice steady. He's not the hero you think. Flashbulbs popped. Justice tasted bitter, but it was mine.